Charles McKinney, marketing director for a financial broker, and this is my story about ayahuasca. All right, step one. I get a phone call from a friend, childhood friend. He tells me that he's scared. I start scratching my head. What are you scared for? He says, man, I got a connection and I got invited to do ayahuasca. Now, I immediately was surprised because it took me off guard because I didn't think they'd be the one that would want to partake in ayahuasca. So I told him I'd join him in that journey, and we decided to go and fly out to do ayahuasca at a remote location. Now, if you don't know anything about ayahuasca, ayahuasca is probably, if not number one, but maybe number two, hallucinogens, plant medicine, spiritual liquid brews that you can take on this earth. Now, the history of ayahuasca is that the Amazonians, whether in Brazil, Costa Rica, and even tribes that are located in Hawaii, have been taking this plant medicine, this brew, for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's made up of two plants. One contains DMT that allows you to hallucinate, and then the other plant actually kind of coats the stomach and stops the human body from digesting the DMT. And if you don't know anything about DMT, DMT is short for dimethyltryptamine. Dimethyltryptamine is actually produced in your third eye, in your pineal gland. Now, you do get a glimpse of this DMT, which is naturally made in your brain, when you go to sleep at night. Whenever, let's say, you have a nightmare or even a pleasant dream, right? Your DMT is actually activated, and that enables you to have that dream, and it drops into your bloodstream. Okay. Now, the amount that drops into it, just imagine, this is a little capsule in my hand, or maybe like a little bucket or a little temple. When the DMT is active inside your brain when you sleep, your brain just releases just a little drop, right? And that enables you to go to another world, another reality, which we call the dream state. Now, with ayahuasca, when you intake ayahuasca and you drink it and go straight to your bloodstream, what it does is when it hits that temple, hits that shot glass inside your brain, that pineal gland, instead of doing this, right, it does this. It overflows. It pours out everything. And that sends you into what people call another reality, or heaven. Is another term people use as well, because they don't really have the vocabulary to describe what they envision, what they see, the messages that they receive as well. All right, so fast forward, we are on our way to the retreat. It was actually hosted at an Airbnb, so it was nice. It's not like, we're out in the woods somewhere secluded with a bonfire. A lot of times people say they have spiritual experiences, people automatically think it's a bonfire going, everyone's in, clothed and, same attire, etc. But it was actually very modernized. We went to the Airbnb, and there was about 17, 18 other people there. 4 or 5 people were there to help and assist. And of course, people would screen. So they screened you before you came to make sure you don't have any, serious addictions or medical issues, etc. And if you do have something, let's say like alcoholism, they do recommend that you do about a 2-week detox from alcohol, because it's not a real, it's not a rehab center per se. You don't want anyone having crazy cravings while you're there, because everyone's there for healing. Spiritual, mental, physical, you name it. That's why we're all there for the ayahuasca healing. Now, we've had 2 shamans that were present. Quindera and Condero is the term that's used. And they were there to help to guide, to sing the music, to, assist whenever the medicine starts kicking in. So we're there, we're sitting in a circle, my butt is hurting. I'm sitting on the wood floor. I'm thinking I should have brought some more comforters. But I'm there for the experience, and I'm ready and I'm game. And so it was. We did it at about 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And ayahuasca lasts anywhere from like maybe 2 hours all the way to 4 hours. So this night we plan to take 2 doses of ayahuasca, and this ayahuasca is supposed to dive deep inside of you. If you ever see someone that got a mirror, like a hand mirror, and they want to check themselves out, just imagine that ayahuasca is that mirror, but we're going to check your insides out. We're going to check your soul out. We're going to see what's going on in your soul. What can ayahuasca bring up out of your soul for you to face, what you need to embrace, and what you need to heal from, and also how your life's going to look after you face those things. So knowing all this, I was a little anxious, a little nervous, not going to lie, especially when someone tells you you're about to have an inner and outer cellular detox. A lot of things go through your head. So over there, we've got, the incense, we've got the sage, we're doing, pre-meditation. Some people are doing some yoga, just to prepare themselves to relax, to calm the nerves, and to get the good vibration energies up in the room. And I will say this, for those 3 days and 2 nights that I was there for this ayahuasca journey, that was the most peaceful, most surreal, calm, relaxing environment that I've been in for, probably about 10 years. Not a negative thing was said. Everybody was supportive there. Everybody was intrigued by one another, getting to know other people's stories. It was just an amazing, amazing weekend, right? Peaceful weekend, tranquil. All right. So, the shamans, they have this brew, like I said, you brew this ayahuasca. It might take, a couple of days. They brew it 4 or 5 times, like a big pot of, good old soup or gumbo, whatnot. But the color of this ayahuasca is like a dark, dark, dark green. So imagine going to Smoothie King and say, hey, let me get every vegetable you have, all right, and put it in a blender, and then I'm going to put some green dye in it. So that's how dark green it was, all right? So we take the first dose, we all line up, we get our first dose, and it's in a shot glass, so not that much, maybe about an ounce. So I take it. Now the taste of this thing, right? The taste of this thing tastes like dirty NyQuil, right? It was not pleasing at all, but I could stand it, and it was basically tastes like plant medicine. And so I intake this, and this is when my ego kicks in, right? Because I'm a plant-based, person. I find myself thinking I'm very, clean with my diet. And what I've heard about ayahuasca is that before you have any sort of, spiritual experience, usually you're gonna, purge. And purge could be a couple of things. You could be, throwing up. You could be taking a doo-doo, right? Or you could cry, right? There's 3 different levels of purging. And, my ego, my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not trying to throw up in front of these people. I really don't know these people like that. I'm definitely not, using number 2, right? I'm plant-based, I'm vegan, so I'm thinking I'll be fine. So we take the first dose, and about 5-10 minutes, nothing's really happening. The shamans, they start playing the music. They got the instruments, they got the drums, the tribal drums, and the music was amazing. And I'm looking around at everybody else. Everyone else is calm, cool, relaxed, and intaking the medicine. And about an hour in, I'm still not feeling anything. I mean, nothing. I say, well, maybe I might be immune to this stuff, right? So I look to my best friend. He's to my left. He's still not, doing anything. He's just cool, calm, and relaxed. So about 2 hours later, maybe 3, the shaman asks, hey, who's ready for the second dose? And, and everyone raised their hand excited. They want to get that second dose because I'm not feeling anything, feeling a little disappointed. And so he comes around, he comes, to each person individually, so everybody can take a dose. And I kid you not, as soon as he came to me, he was like, Charlton, are you ready to take a second dose? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I go to get up, just stand and take this dose. All of a sudden, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was sitting down too long, but I'm pretty sure it was, grandma ayahuasca, the drink. And I get up, and all of a sudden, the shaman's in front of me, and all of a sudden, I just see vibrations going in and out. Ooh, ooh, right? Just vibrations all around him. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I think this ayahuasca stuff is kicking in. He saw me, he saw I was a little startled, and he just, smiled at me and said, it's all right, it's okay. Medicine's working. And so he, poured me the second cup. I took the second cup and I said, wow, this ayahuasca might be the real deal. So I sat back down and I'm relaxed. They're still playing the music, playing the beautiful drums. I'm, enjoying myself. And I start feeling a nice fire inside of me, nice warmth. Starting to heat up a little bit. So about 20, 30 minutes later into the second dose, man, here comes the purging. I've got a guy next to me, he's purging. Now, whenever you're purging, these individuals, they were throwing up, and everyone had individual throw-up buckets, okay? Everybody had individual throw-up buckets. And so when they say when you're purging, they're saying that you're getting rid of all the non-truths that are residing inside of you, all the negative things that you've built up over years from judgment of other people, yourself, etc., that have come hard and crusted and have been locked inside of your body that you haven't been able to get out. And so people are looking forward to purge, even though we think in a sense we don't want to throw up, but this purge is supposed to be different. So there's a couple people throwing up, whatnot. And then about 20, 30 minutes later, about the first hour into the second dose, my friend is lying right next to me, and, he's just laying there still. And then all of a sudden, he just pops up, like the Undertaker in WWE, just pops up, split second, starts flailing his arms all around himself, just flailing his arms, takes his shirt off. And I'm looking at him like, yo, good? Kind of pat him on the back, are you okay? And the ayahuasca is just hitting him, right? He grabs the bucket and he just starts purging. Just purging for like 10, 15 minutes, just purging straight liquid into the bucket. And then the helpers come over, the helpers are coming, fanning him down, singing songs, making sure he's good, guiding him through the journey, letting him know that he's not, by himself. And, it's just beautiful to see. Now, in my egotistical mind at the time, I'm thinking, man, see, that's that turkey burger you ate yesterday. You shouldn't eat that turkey burger. He told us to watch what we're eating. That's why you purge it, right? And this is just my ego talk, telling me this. And so, after like 10, 15 minutes, he lays back down. He just lays down like a baby, like nothing happened. He just, thumbing him out. He's good. He's out. I'm like, man, he looks peaceful, So then, in my head, I'm like, well, dang, thank goodness I'm purged. I guess I'm just super immune. And so, about 5 minutes later, I hear a voice, or I think it's the woman shaman. She's like, all right, Jonathan, now it's time. And so I'm like, I don't have to throw up. Why is she telling me it's time? So I lift my head up to, look at her, like to nod my head like, nah, I'm good. And she's talking to someone else over to the right across the room, helping them while they're purging. I'm like, why is she talking, how does she know to talk to me? So anyway, I put my head back down and, medicine's kicking. I can feel it, the whole body's warm. And I hear the voice again, Jonathan. Nice, delicate, sweet, like your grandma loved you type of voice. Jonathan, it's time to pass. And I'm like, I lift my head up again. I said, I want to tell the shaman, listen, I'm good. I know my body, I'm super vegan, plant-based, baby. This plant medicine is agreeing with me. And so, once again, she's not even looking my way. She's with someone else, helping them, sending messages to them, whispering in their ears, singing songs for them. And so I put my head back down, And then I had an epiphany. I said, wait, hold on. In the beginning of the ceremony, the lady shaman said, when it's your time, Grandma Ayahuasca will talk to you. And then I started thinking, I said, well, wait, Charlton. Anytime you have thoughts inside of your head, anytime you're trying to do some calculus, anytime you're trying to find out what you're trying to eat today, or someone's upset you and you want to talk to yourself and console yourself, you hear your voice, Charlton. You don't hear a woman's voice. And my eyes opened up like big as all could be. I said, whoa, that might be Grandma Ayahuasca. So then I shrugged. I was like, okay, well, we'll see again. I laid my head back down. And the third time, she said, okay, Charlton, this is basically your last warning. It's time to purge. And I was like, Grandma, I don't have to purge. Like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to throw up. No. Mm-mm. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen this time. Let me just get the bucket just to show you. Like, I don't have to throw up. I grabbed the bucket, placed the bucket in front of me. Kid you not, 1.5 seconds later, I fill up. I'm like, oh, what is that? Boom! Purging. I mean, all this liquid is coming up out of me like the Exorcist. Like, it's just flowing. And then I can see out peripheral, it's like 2 or 3 helpers are coming over to help out, fan me off, whatever, singing songs in my ear and everything, guiding me through this. And now, I kid you not, even though I was resistant to throwing up, the worst part was just the slight nauseated feeling you get right before you throw up, right in your throat. And then after that, I felt the healing taking place while I was purging all of this deep, dark green liquid. Now, all this green liquid's coming out. I've only taken 2 ounces of this concoction, ayahuasca, but I have like a half gallon of green liquid in this bucket, okay? So my brain is working, I'm starting thinking, whoa, there's a lot of stuff in this bucket. And then I look at the bottom of the bucket, because it looked like it's moving, like some Ghostbusters stuff, right? And so I look at the bottom of the bucket, it's like a dark black goo, tar, and I'm, in the bucket swishing around because I'm purging into it. I'm looking deeper into the bucket, and I see at the bottom of the bucket, it's like black tar being stuck to the bottom of the bucket. Now these buckets are like brand new buckets, they're blue plastic, containers. And I'm like, well, why is there black tar at the bottom of this bucket? I'm kind of getting a little freaked out. And so, one of the lady helpers, which I asked later, she was like, yeah, so that's just a lot of the stuff that's been maybe negative emotions or negative experiences, judgments that you've held on to that has actually crystallized or made physical, right? And been stuck inside your body. And even physical, waste that you may have where you might be extremely out of shape or, extreme toxins that you've been consuming from, bad foods. All this stuff was sitting at the bottom of this bucket. And I felt, relief that it was gone, it was out. I felt cleaner, I felt lighter, I felt more comfortable, right? So after the purging was done, then what they call the inner and outer cellular detox occurred. The soul conversation began with me and Grandma Ayahuasca. Grandma Ayahuasca introduced herself. We then started going on a journey inside of who I am, past experiences, good and bad. We talked through them. It was a dialogue. She reminded me your purpose is people, right? She reminded me to engage with people, right? She reminded me that this world, everyone is an instrument. I might be a violinist. I might be a violin. You might be a cello, right? And when we're walking and we allow self-hate, judgment, biases take over, we're out of tune. We can play that violin, we can play that trumpet all day, every day. but you're out of tune. When we tune that instrument, which ayahuasca helps people tune their instrument by giving them what I like to call 10 years of therapy in one night. All right, 10 years of combined therapy you can get in one night in ayahuasca. Right? When that occurs, you basically fine tune your instrument and you sound different, you look different, you feel different. There's different things that you might take upon that you didn't do before because now you're in tune. And then when you run into someone else that's in tune, you play beautiful music. Even if they're out of tune, they will hear you playing your true self in tune, and that will inspire them to tune up their instrument, right? To let go of, the bad strings, to replace the strings of their guitar so they can be in tune as well. And then when all of you are in tune, you play the most beautiful music, you create the best manifestations, you create the best scenarios, and you have creativity together. The best relationships, whether it be friendships, spouses, the best relationships involve a high amount of creativity. So going through this dialogue, going through, all the rut, the Ruda, the Tuda, everything. And it was a divine experience. I even had an experience where I saw a couple of images. I hallucinated, quite a bit. And there was a young lady there that played this instrument called the didgeridoo, right? And that didgeridoo is no joke. That didgeridoo actually played it kind of played with the vibrations that create yourself and create the molecules around you, inside of you, etc. You can, I don't know if you've ever seen or you've been in a car where the bass is really heavy and it kind of shakes the windows, and you might have a cup and then you see the ripples in the water of the cup. That's exactly what a didgeridoo does to your whole entire body. And your inner essence and outer essence just vibrating, just create just a crazy vibration. Now she's playing this didgeridoo. I start seeing Amazonian type animals. I saw a snake, right? I saw a snake. It was just different colors: neon, green, yellow, pink, you name it, different colors. And they're all coming through my peripheral. So I got a snake over here. I got some sort of spider armadillo thing or something over here. And they're both looking at me, smiling, just smiling, looking at me, paying homage. And they're going towards each other. She's playing this didgeridoo, and my vibration's going crazy. And they're both looking at me like this, smiling, merging into one creature. And I'm like, are they merging? I said, yeah, let me open my eyes. So I opened my eyes after that because I didn't see any more animals merging. Okay? So she's still playing the didgeridoo. I open my eyes and I'm good. And then I will also say after the animals, you do face what some people call your shadow self or your judgmental self. And there was an entity that came into my peripheral, very small, but he had a really large ego, very devious type being. Basically saying, hi, basically Charlie thought you were gonna get rid of me, I'm basically watching you, And so after resisting him and looking at him, strange, like this alien little creature, right? I started just sending, love to this entity. I was like, well, I'm gonna love you too. It's all right. You can stay callous if you want to, but, even the hardest, need love. And it made me realize, that's what, some of the hardest people on the planet are. Even when I act hard, and, in the past, it was just me believing that love was not accessible, right? And so the first thing I ran to was trying to create some sort of power, right? Trying to have power over people or power over organizations, right? And so for people to fear you or to, stab them first with your words or judgment. So you can have that power because you may not feel love is accessible to you. So you go the other route. And if you think about that, where you have other people born in certain circumstances, that might be super, super difficult for them to thrive, they probably feel unloved when they look out and compare their life to other people's. And so they, instead of thinking that they can get love, they think it's unacceptable, so they run to power, they run to fear, because that's easily accessible because that's what they see around them, so they emulate that. So Disney dude took me on that whole journey. And so after that, probably about like 4 hours later into the second dose, the sun's coming up, and this is when the male shamans, says, hey, we're gonna bring this to the end, we sing a last song, and then we all gave I guess moments of gratitude. Everyone had a chance to say what they were grateful for, and if they wanted to share anything that they experienced through their experience. Now, I do know that there was other individuals there that ayahuasca actually helped them cleanse themselves of addictions they had. We have one or two people there that were addicted or used to be addicted to the needle. They were addicted to heroin. And so they gave their testimony. About 3 years ago, they tried ayahuasca for the first time. And after that, they had no more cravings, no more addictions to heroin. And that's super powerful. Another, gentleman actually went to a divorce, and this was his way to find healing and to find out, more about himself and how he can feel better about his life going forward, being separated, from his wife. I thought that was beautiful as well. Another gentleman had PTSD from the military, and ayahuasca actually was provided a sort of therapy for him, so he could, face himself and go through what he needed to go through. And then we had another young lady. She was amazing. She actually was plant-based as well. She made all kinds of food for us as well. She actually was dealing with some dark things, and she was had some bad things happen to her when she was younger, and so she went through a detox herself, and she was there, purging through crying for like 20, 30 minutes, and it was beautiful because she was like a totally highly energetic person, like after the fact, after all that stuff that came out, which was beautiful. So anyway, we're wrapping up the second night, and I got my room. Me and my best friend got a room, nice, 2 beds. Got our own bathroom, which is great. So just in case I have to use the bathroom later, I don't worry about other people, seeing me purge or whatnot. But by then the purging was over, which I was grateful for as well. So then the second day we had our second ceremony, and through that second ceremony there was no purging from most of the group. There was still maybe 1 or 2 people that purged, but the second day was more of a peaceful journey. It was more of a grandma ayahuasca, let me hold your hand and let me show you what else is out there for you. And so I call this day basically laying the blueprint for what my life is going to look like after all these things have been detoxed, and all these things that now I'm going to apply, these new habits, new attitudes, new energy I'm going to apply to what my life is going to look like from then forward. And I will say this about Grandma Ayahuasca. I do think that anyone can benefit from this. And the most beneficial aspect of ayahuasca was just the ability to go inside my mind, go inside my psyche, I guess my soul, if you will, to examine it. Just as we do X-rays on bones to see if they're broken, see if things are dislocated. This was an X-ray of the soul, and of the emotions, and even physically too, because it allowed me to physically detox some things and toxins that might have been inside of me that was in the way from me being a clear channel, so I could receive those messages from Grandma Ayahuasca, and just to have a soul to soul conversation. If you want to know what it feels like to experience your soul and go to the reality where this three-dimensional world is on pause and you're in the 4 or 5D in the spiritual world, then this is what you want to do. This is a key and a door for you to do that and experience that. So that was definitely the most beneficial for me. Now, as someone that grew up in the church, father was a pastor. I stayed in the church, at least 3 or 4 times a week. I will say this: there are times where there's different sets of Christians, different experiences, levels of Christians. There are, as far as consciousness per se. I will say this: there are Christians that pray for a spiritual experience, but when it comes, they run from it. This is something that is for the Christians that embrace spiritual experiences, that pray for spiritual experiences, and that won't waver from spiritual experiences. And they will be rewarded tenfold for seeking out this spiritual experience. And from what I've known about ayahuasca and the people in the room, there were different religions practiced there. One thing that we did have in common is that God did give us all receptors to receive the messages and to receive this experience. If God did not have an intention for you to be affected by ayahuasca, then you would not have any reaction. You wouldn't have any receptors. You would be numb to it. But for the simple fact that all different backgrounds were there and we all started to receive some things, let me know that this was a path or this was a road that God allowed open. So if you're Christian, I definitely encourage you to seek it out if ayahuasca calls you out, to try her. I would say, first and foremost, I would say everyone's different. That's with everything. Me, myself, I definitely would do it again. I probably I'm highly interested in like going to Costa Rica or going to Peru, going out to the Peruvian jungle and getting that real, authentic nature surrounding you experience with, maybe a shaman that's been doing it for 30 years or so. Some people, I would say, will do ayahuasca once and they'll receive everything they need, right? They'll never have to do it again. They say, oh, I got the message, I got it, I got to do this, got to cut out this. I'm off to the races. Some people may have to do it once every quarter, once every 3 months, once every year, once every 10 years, right? But it is something that I will probably continue to do until there's, nothing else to receive from myself. You only live once. There are things out there that we've tried that are toxic, right? That we've allowed to enter our bodies, whether it be alcohol, or whether it be medications, aspirins. And this is something that is here to help heal. Just like we intake different fruits and vegetables for vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, minerals. This has been put on this planet for an experience. And I definitely would, if it calls you, like I'll say, if it calls your name for you to be interested in it, definitely give it a try. You won't regret